poses, welcome to another one of the critically acclaimed, award-winning Wrestling Revolution reviews of Smackdown. I first off would like to thank my new subscribers, which is the Viper RKO, but the E's are 3's. And Star Kill 59. I'd also like to thank the people who left comments on my video last week, which was, of course, my fellow revolutionists, or Wrestleheads, Zamario, Grim, and Frankazoid, aka Wesley White. Also, I'd like to thank Largest 85 and DW Squirtle. I'd like everyone... sorry, I had Chinese. Everyone, I'd like them to go to WrestlingRevolution.com, the epic center for all of your wrestling news, forums, podcasts, videos, contests, prizes, free stuff. Get there. Also, check out after this video, after the review, I will be having the cooking challenge between me and Crazy Pretzel. So we will see who wins round 2. I'm figuring I'm gonna go 2 for 2 just because I'm awesome like that. And also, Bobby Black just did 2 U2C radios, which can be found in the Turnbuckle Lounge on WrestlingRevolution.com. One was in regards to Slammiversary, and they reviewed it with Grim and Wesley, or Grim, and then one was for Capital Punishment, which was with Grim and Wesley White. So let's jump right in to SmackDown.
Get ready for the Smackdown! Get ready for the Smackdown! How you gonna react when you're put on your back now? 'Cause there's no turning back when you're facing the Smackdown!
This week's SmackDown is in my backyard of Hershey, PA. Start things off with Teddy Long coming to the ring and then calling out Christian. Christian comes out and starts complaining that he should get another shot and stuff like that, and Teddy Long says that his foot was under the rope and he will get another shot if he earns it. Teddy Long says that the refs call last at the pay-per-view stood, and Christian has to be Kane tonight to become the #1 contender. Then we go into the first match of the night, which is Sin Cara versus Ted DiBiase. I gave this 3 out of 5 Black Rangers. It was a good opener. It was a good cruiser versus light heavyweight. These two worked pretty well together. So, not too much extra in the match, but in the end, Sin Cara hits his spinning shoulder breaker thingy that was in his promos, and I guess was his finisher in Mexico. Match 2 of the night, which is the anti-dashing Cody Rhodes versus Danielson, whatever. I gave this 4 out of 5 Yellow Rangers. This was a really good match. We started off with Cody Rhodes coming to the ring and telling everybody to put bags on their heads, and everyone's fat and Hershey because of chocolate and stuff like that. And, yeah. So, Brian comes out and interrupts him, and he says, okay, look, you think you were so beautiful and stuff like that. Look at this. And then he shows Dusty Rhodes, who Dusty Rhodes is not a pretty guy. So, yeah, so then, I think Cody gets really mad because, he basically says that, your dad was one of the most charismatic and awesome wrestlers of all time, and he's not pretty. So, I don't know kind of where they were going with that. I mean, it was kind of funny, but I don't know. So anyway, this was another good match. These two worked really well together. It got a little bit more time. I really liked the finish that in the end Brian got tied up in the ropes, and then the referee was getting Daniel Bryan out of the ropes. Cody, while he was getting up, hit a beautiful disaster, crossroads, and the win. So he won in heel fashion, but he didn't have any outside interference, technically. I mean, there was some in the match, but it was not like the result of the win. Alright, so we go to a backstage promo with Johnny Curtis, and he says he cuts the mustard because he picked up mayo, he picked up ketchup, but he left the mustard, so he cut the mustard. I'm going to cut the cheese. They should make a segment out of that. Next, we have a backstage promo with the Big Show, and basically he recaps things with Mark Henry, and Mark Henry attacks him in the back. Bada bing. Match 3 of the night is Big Zeke versus Wade Barrett, which is a rematch for the Intercontinental Championship. I gave this 3 out of 5 Green Rangers. It was a great power versus power match. Barrett hit a nice scrap buster during this match, but Zeke hit a nice Uranagi slam on Wade Barrett. So this match was actually pretty good. I thought it delivered pretty well for what it was. In the end, Wade Barrett goes for a wasteland, but Zeke reverses it and puts Wade Barrett in the torture rack and gets a submission win. So good 3 out of 5 match. Next we go to a backstage segment with Randy Orton, and he says he's a serious guy, but he's laughing on the inside at Christian. Really? Seriously? Another backstage segment where Barrett meets up with Gabriel and Slater, and they're, they have a whip it out contest where, they're just whipping out their wangs and seeing whose is longer, and, Gabriel says that they're going to go out and do what Wade Barrett couldn't do tonight, and that's win a rematch. So, 4th match of the night, which is the Usos versus Justin Gabriel and Heath Slater. Pre-match to this, they had some, really weird battle cry thing at the beginning. It was interesting, but it needed to be shorter. They had this big, long battle cry thing, and I get it that it's, traditional Samoan or whatever it is, but I don't know. Just didn't flow with me too well. I gave this match 3 out of 5 White Rangers. It was actually a good match between the Usos and Justin Gabriel and Heath Slater. There is a point where Justin Gabriel comes to springboard inside the ring, and he gets caught in a nice Samoan drop. I think the Usos are really going to prove themselves here on SmackDown, because Raw didn't know how to use them. So I think the Usos are going to do really well on SmackDown, especially in the tag division. So let's hope SmackDown starts to bring back the tag team division with some of these tag teams that they have. But in the end, one of the Usos comes off the top rope for a Snuka splash, and Slater gets his knees up, and then of course, one of the Usos, I don't even know if it's Jimmy or Jay, I'm going to be honest, I have no idea. He came down on the knees, and then Slater hit a small package roll-up for the pin after he hit the double knees. 5th match of the night, which is Jinder Mahal versus Yoshitatsu. I gave this a 0 out of 5 Alpha 5s because it wasn't even a match. All that I have really noted on this match is that Nunzio, Little Guido, was the referee. I know people had talked about Little Guido being in the WWE as a ref, and I'd never seen him until now. So, Little Guido, it's good to see her healthy and doing well. Oh yeah, and Jinder Mahal gets on the mic and says, blah. That's about all I have on that. Oops. Alright, next we go to the main event of the night, which was Kane versus Christian. Now, I'm going to give this a rating, and before you guys get all bent out of shape, I'm going to explain why. I gave it 4 out of 5 Red Rangers. This was a good match. This was a good 15-minute singles match. And then, yes, Mark Henry did come out, World's Strongest slammed Kane, or did something to Kane, and got Christian disqualified. But then Teddy came out, and I thought it was weird that the main event was starting at 9:30. Teddy Long came out and made it a tag match with Orton and Kane versus Christian and Mark Henry, which was a great, another good, 10-15 minute match as well. I mean, it's more like a 10 to 12 minute match. So it was actually a really good, decent tag team match as well. In the end, Orton hits Mark Henry's going to go for the World's Strongest Slam. Orton reversed it, jumped behind him. He got thrown into Christian. Randy Orton hit Christian with the RKO. He turns around, Mark Henry hits the World's Strongest Slam on him. Mark Henry gets the 3 on the World Heavyweight Champion, and Christian gets another shot at the world title. I thought it was a very interesting finish. I thought it was really good, honestly. So, what did I give the night as a whole? I have to say, I didn't actually write it down, so I have to figure it out on the fly here. So, I probably have to give it 4 out of 5. I think SmackDown's getting back on the right track. They did a really good job tonight. Everything was 3 and above. It was 3 or 4, well, except for the Jinder Mahal thing, but that wasn't even a match. Everything was 3s or 4s. So I really think that tonight was a solid 4. So now we have to go to, and that's SmackDown for this week. I actually really enjoyed it. I'm glad we're getting back on track. Now we go to the cooking challenge. So everybody, please enjoy.
8 poses. I am the black and white Delight Grumpy Cheeto, going to show off here my mad cooking skills. So what I have here is 6 cups of water, and I'm going to bring it to a boil. And I guess we're just going to have to move right back over to Crazy Pretzel, because we're going to, I don't really think you guys want to sit here and watch this water boil. So I will take this burden for you guys and stay here.
That's right, phonies. I'm peeling fresh garlic here. This isn't stuff just inside the bottle. Fresh garlic that I'm going to chop up mighty fine here. I plan on making a couple of things here. As you can kind of see, I have some broccoli over here on the countertop. That's going to be for my Alfredo pasta I'm going to make later. But right now I'm chopping this garlic up because I'm going to use this garlic for salsa and for the pasta. Yeah, like I said, a good way to get the garlic up is just press on it very hard. which might seem kind of strange to smash it, but look how easy the skin comes off. Ooh.
Alright, so we've pretty much got the water to the boiling point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this box open. Alright, I got it. I'm okay. Alright, so we're supposed to pour the noodles in. Once it's basically at a boil, so I'm going to pour the noodles in. And then stir occasionally.
I'm going to cut some cilantro next. I kind of did it in advance, but basically when I do cilantro, I cut most of these stems off because they stink. Some people will be picky and they'll pick off every little leaf, but that'll take like 6 hours to do, man. I just cut off the big leaves, and I just finely mince up the rest of it. I mean, you might think a few stems on there is kind of bad, but a few stems is okay in my opinion, as long as you cut them up real small. I wish I had a bigger thing, but maybe after I beat Grumpy Cheeto in this contest, maybe the Wrestling Revolution will send me some money. Or I could always do a spin in an eBay or something.
Oh, crap! Whoa. Okay, so before it overflows, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drain it into the strainer. We let it, of course, all the water out in the strainer. We kind of move it around a little bit to get all the excess water out, and you kind of do that to let the water fall out.
Next, I'm going to cut a couple of jalapenos. Jalapenos are pretty easy. Just like you cut the end off, then you got this middle here. Just kind of cut it down the middle. Now, if you have some plastic gloves, you might want to wear them if you're like, highly allergic to seeds. But a good way to do it is just take a spoon and just kind of scoop the seeds out in the inside. See? Then it depends. You can go long ways or short ways. I'm going to go long ways. Just kind of try to cut thin strips. I just wish my knife was a little sharper, but that's okay. Cut thin strips and then cut even thinner strips. You want to cut them real small. And if you're like a super spicy guy, you want to keep some jalapeno seeds in it. But otherwise, I think just cutting them up fine and nice is just fine for salsa.
Alright, so we're putting it back in the pan now. You gotta be very careful, you don't want to lose any noodles. And if it sticks, just have to get the thing and put it in there. Alright, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to that idiot Crazy Pretzel, see what he's doing, what kind of concoction he's making.
Next, Phony, I'm going to cut up an onion. Now, the thing with onions, depending on what you're cooking with, this is a sweet onion, this is a yellow onion, cooking onion. Now, this you want to cook like in pastas or whatnot, because if you eat it raw, it's kind of spicy. So I'm going to use a sweet onion, because it's not as spicy. Basically, you just take your onion and cut the edges off like so. Like so. And then you want to get this little excess skin off. A good way to do it, just like I did, take a little slash and peel off the ends. Some might say you're taking a little too much of the onion off, but you know what? If you paid for it, you can do whatever you want with that onion. Alrighty. Now I'm just going to cut it down the middle here. And then I'm just going to cut them up into fine, small pieces. Try to mince them up, so to speak. Careful, phone, these onions might make you cry. But that's okay, that's a normal response to onions. Pretty much any kind of spicy food I eat makes me cry. You know what really makes me cry? Spinnerlet's videos, especially when he e-begs.
Alright, so now I've got my noodles back. I've got my ingredients, which is half a cup of water, or half a cup of milk. Better put my pizza down. Pretty much half a stick of butter. And this fine package. You know, kind of like my fine package, but this one's got cheese in it. Mine's got, well. So, of course, we mix all this stuff together and we make this fine little concoction known as an American favorite pastime, mac mac and cheese.
Look how huge this lime is. I wonder if these limes are taking veggie steroids or something. But anyway, cut that in half, and even that it seems like it might be hard to squeeze, so I'm even gonna cut it in half again. So, I'm not gonna squeeze them just yet because I still gotta cut my tomatoes. So, let me show you how to do it. Take this fine tomato here, and I've got a different knife here. I've got a bread knife, so I'm gonna slice into the tomato. Just cut it up into little thin pieces here. Now you can use a regular knife too, but that knife I had back there is dull. A lot more dull than a spin on that video. Or a lot more duller than watching one of Grumpy's Smackdown reviews.
Now remember, always try to keep your handle on the inside if you have kids. You know, you don't want the kids to pull boiling water down on their face, otherwise they might turn out looking like Crazy Pretzel, which we really don't want that to happen to any American. So you just kind of mix and let the butter melt and let all that stuff get mixed in. Take a drink of your beer. Go back to mixing.
Alright, folks, time for your favorite part. Adding all the ingredients in. I'm gonna add all these tomatoes in here. And I'll admit I cheated. I had a can of diced tomatoes in there too. Kind of a little bit more tomato flavor, but also it saves you a couple of bucks in these troubled times. Which Spinnernet wouldn't know about. I'm gonna add these diced onions in here that I cut up. These delicious sweet onions. Alrighty, then I'm gonna add some of the cilantro. I also added the jalapenos on here too, so it's just all green. Just like the Ninja Turtles, one of my favorite cartoon shows of all time. But I'm gonna add a good handful of this garlic that I sliced up here. Add that into it. How much juice I get when I squeeze it. That's what I mean, it was such a huge lime.
And here you have it, ladies and gentlemen, a fine pot of macaroni and cheese. I hope all of you enjoyed this. As you can see, I am a excellent cook, and I am an extremely great person. So I should win this competition 2 for 2 because I won the bowling challenge. So I am now going to win the cooking challenge. So I await the illustrious results. Thank you very much.
This looks like pretty awesome salsa made. Very simple, but very, very delicious.
Whoopsie-daisy, whoopsie-daisy, whoopsie-daisy. Come, we're gonna catch that fire. I'm fiending for a flicker. Then we'll fan the flame up into something bigger. Started out and he was hot. Look up and now we're not. We're gonna catch a fire, forgot. Come on. Whoopsie-daisy, whoopsie-daisy, whoopsie-daisy. Come, we're gonna catch that. Whoopsie-daisy, call me crazy. Whoopsie-daisy, come, we're gonna catch that.
How could mac and cheese not win? It's a fan favorite. It's like The Rock and Stone Cold. They're cheesy and they go together well. Why in the world would some salad mixing bowl looks like Billy and Chuck beat mac and cheese? Fine, we're 1-1. That means next week, exclusively on WrestlingRevolution.com, we are going to have our epic showdown. And believe me when I tell you that I'm coming prepared. I have a couple surprises for Crazy Pretzel, and when we throw down, we'll throw down. So, I am the Black and White Delight. I will be back next week. I'm Grumpy Cheeto, and I am awesome.